Is this truly the power of a mid-stage 8-star Xian powerhouse? Looking at the thunderous display of strength from Xiao, the domain master of the Boundless Fire domain, many high-level experts below couldn't help but exchange looks, though most were filled with relief. The scene before them was so overwhelming that, even after witnessing it firsthand, they still felt a sense of unreality, as though they were merely dreaming in that very moment. Such overwhelming strength, and yet, the reincarnation angel, who was as powerful as they come, was utterly powerless before Xiaoyan's mid-stage 8-star Xian prowess. The combined might of the three elements of thunder, fire, and wood, along with the clan mark's power, was indeed terrifying. But Xiaoyan was only at the mid-stage of 8-star Xian. How could this be? So terrifying. Kailin, Ying, fellow seniors, we still have important matters to discuss. Let's go. As for the other experts, maintain the daily order of the Boundless Fire domain. You can handle the cleanup. I'll leave it to you. Thank you for your hard work. From now on, no one will dare challenge the authority of the Boundless Fire domain. Xiaoyan stretched lazily and then addressed the group behind him. It was clear that although that last move had been incredibly powerful, it had taken quite a toll on him as well. Domain Master is mighty. Domain Master is mighty. Domain Master is mighty. A massive cheer spontaneously erupted from every inch of land in the Boundless Fire domain, with the citizens exclaiming their admiration. After witnessing their mysterious domain master's immense power firsthand, they finally understood that their choice had been the right one. Even though the Boundless Fire domain had only just begun to rise, with such a powerful figure at its helm, how could it not flourish? Sigh. This guy really is getting more and more monstrous. The two of us together might not even be able to beat him. Xiao Zifan and Mu Feng both grinned, but their voices were filled with genuine admiration, with no hint of jealousy. Let's go. Now that the crisis of the Boundless Fire domain is over, the entire continent's crisis is probably next. Kailin allowed a rare, faint smile to appear, then led the senior experts toward the Boundless Fire domain's conference room. A few dozen minutes later, inside the Boundless Fire domain conference room, everyone's here, right? Xiaoyan sat at the head of the table, looking at the familiar faces of his old masters and companions, speaking softly with no airs about him, making him seem extraordinarily approachable. You two were originally recovering in the Yao clan, but the ancient races, fearing their internal affairs were being infiltrated by the Holy Sea's emissaries, used drastic measures to send you two back. The main purpose of this was to protect you, but they overlooked one point, which is that the Holy Sea Angel Kelly is attacking our Boundless Fire domain right now. Mu Ying stood up, her clear voice filling the entire room, analyzing the situation with precision. Now, all the forces from the 4 continents on the Dodi continent have gathered at the headquarters of the Holy Sea on Doyun continent, waiting for the right moment to strike and battle to the death. The divine might of the Holy Sea will probably be shattered once and for all in this conflict. After a moment, Mu Feng spoke, seemingly knowledgeable about the situation. Old Feng and the others were sent out by me. This is my responsibility. At this, Kailin felt a hint of self-blame. She knew that Xiaoyan's relationship with the Holy Sea was like fire and water, and Old Feng's strength was enough to tilt the balance of this battle. But she had forgotten about the safety of the Boundless Fire domain. Luckily, Xiaoyan had emerged just in time, or the consequences would have been unimaginable. You all stay here. I will go to the Holy Sea and meet with them alone. This battle with the Holy Sea is probably not as simple as it appears on the surface. After another round of discussion, Xiaoyan finally spoke up. From Kelly's words, it seemed that the Holy Sea was preparing for a major move, one possibly involving the Light Demon. But the connection to the Light Demon could only be traced to the Demon Emperor of the Monster Realm. Who was the Demon Emperor? The Overlord of the Monster Realm, second only to the Monster Realm Center. He was already the most powerful being in the entire Monster Realm. The Pope of the Holy Sea was even more terrifying. If it came down to a confrontation between these two, Xiaoyan would find it hard to distinguish who was stronger. However, the Demon Emperor was a powerful figure who had experienced the First Heavenly War, and there was no way someone from a later generation could match him. You alone? Isn't that a bit reckless? After all, the Holy See is a massive entity. Xiao Zifan, Mu Feng, and the others all spoke in unison, their faces filled with concern. Xiao Yan's talent was extraordinary, but what he needed was time. If given enough time, they believed he would certainly reach the pinnacle. It's fine. After the Yao clan situation ended, I was reborn with the help of the Holy See. Thanks to the powers I gained, my strength has reached the peak of mid-stage 8-star Docian. My control over the three elements of thunder, fire, and wood is more refined, and both my body's quality and overall power are far beyond what they once were. Kelly's first stage reincarnation power was too weak, which is why I was able to easily destroy her. But, from what I can tell, I am currently invincible among the 8-star Docian powerhouses. I can even match those who have touched the reincarnation realm. Xiao Yan's words were actually meant for Kailin and Mu Yingying. But the Holy See on the Doyun continent was also something he had to attend to. After all, the matter with the Light Demon was something he had promised the Demon Emperor to take care of. Alright, then let's go down. Right now, the Boundless Fire Domain also needs to be on high alert, and the passage between the Ghost Realm and the Do-D continent is not yet fully established. I'm just the vanguard. Not long from now, including forces from our King of 10,000 Ghosts, the Soul-Devouring Domain, and even the Li Soul Domain, your allies will gradually enter the Boundless Fire Domain. When that time comes, the Boundless Fire Domain will likely become a true top-tier force. Hey, what are you doing? I haven't finished speaking yet. Mu Feng, full of excitement, rambled on non-stop, but before he could finish, several strong figures forcibly dragged him out of the conference room, leaving the remaining few minutes for Xiao Yan and the others. An hour from now, I'll gather the higher-ups of the Boundless Fire Domain and use a space transfer scroll I have. It can temporarily bypass the sealed spatial passage and send you directly to the Doyun continent. Xiao Zifan left behind this sentence, and the room once again fell into silence. This time, it's my fault. In a place with few people around, Kailin, usually so strong-willed, slumped down, shaking her head. She had been too focused on trying to reduce Xiao Yan's troubles by sending out Feng Lao and other high-level figures, but in the end, she almost led the Boundless Fire Domain into danger. It's not your fault. If anyone is to blame, it's me. Xiao Yan, fully aware of how much Kailin had worried over the years, gently pulled her close, stroking her long hair, and whispered comforting words in her ear. This was a rare, tender moment. On the side, Mu Yingying, who was quietly observing, felt a bit of jealousy and was slightly irritated but didn't want to express it. She snorted softly and walked towards the exit of the conference room. Since when did you become so petulant? Xiao Yan grabbed Mu Yingying and pulled her into his embrace. The sensation of holding both of them was truly wonderful. I just don't want to bother you. Mu Yingying's heart was filled with joy, but her words didn't match her feelings. We're family. Xiao Yan held Mu Yingying's delicate hand and spoke softly. Have you mastered the 8-colored one? Have you fused the 2 sacred flames? Xiao Yan asked in unison. Yes. Both women answered simultaneously, quietly resting in Xiao Yan's arms, enjoying the rare warmth. Once this matter on the Do-D continent is over, we'll go home. All right. So this time, you must return safely. The 3 of us will be waiting for you here. Okay. Wait for me to come back. 3 days passed after the calamity in the Boundless Fire Domain. At this moment, time on the Doyun continent seemed to slow to a crawl, and the tense, oppressive atmosphere made it so that no one dared to breathe too loudly. If they succeeded in eradicating the Holy See, it would be a kind of release for them. Living under the Holy See's rules for over 1,000 years had worn them down mentally and physically. On the other hand, failure would lead them to utter destruction. If they failed, the Holy See's wrath would bring devastation to the entire Do-D continent. Thus, the leaders of the ancient races did not dare take any rash actions. After all, they feared the consequences of such a colossal failure. This was not a matter to be taken lightly, as it involved the survival of the entire continent. Still no news. In a certain outpost of the ancient races, in the Yao clan's territory, Yao Wanyuan sat on a bamboo mat, gazing quietly towards the location of the holy city of the Holy See. His youthful face seemed to have aged considerably in a moment. After nearly a month of several attempts to launch a full-scale assault on the Holy See's holy city, each attempt had been rejected by the several Grand Elders, making the clan leaders even more anxious. The longer the delay, the worse it would be for them. After all, warfare was closely tied to morale. Reluctantly, they had to pull back nearly half of their forces surrounding the Holy See and return to their respective sects to stand by, in order to avoid detection by the Holy See. This had brought some rather idle time. Of course, Xiao, Fengwaner, and the others were still on their way. Brother Gu Yuan? Just as Yao Wanyuan's self-mocking voice faded, Gu Yuan appeared at the end of the road, his expression quite strange, as if something major had happened. A sinister-looking man followed him, the leader of the Soul Clan, Hun Tianhao. What's going on? Yao Wanyuan quickly stood up to greet them and asked. Among the 7 ancient clans, the most powerful were the Gu, Yao, and Soul clans. The arrival of the 2 clan leaders was not a good sign. A month has passed, and the several Grand Elders Gu Abyss explained to Yao Wanyuan. As he spoke, he took out the invitation letter he had received. The Holy See seems to have some ulterior motives this time. The Soul Clan leader's face was extremely grim. Though his overall demeanor exuded a sinister and eerie aura, he held the trust of the ancient races. After all, the actions of the Soul Clan on the Doyun continent were in stark contrast to those of the Soul Hall. The Holy See's invitation? Yao Wanyuan took the envelope with one hand and began reading it carefully. Dear clan leader of the Gu clan, I, as the Cardinal in Red of the Holy See, formally invite you to publicly judge the Light Demon 10 days from now, within the Holy See's holy city. Let us witness this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, using the end of the demon's power as a sign, and pray to the angels for the eternal presence of light. The lavish golden envelope bore these few lines of text, but the small characters were infused with a mysterious power, creating a refreshing effect on the reader. The power of the Holy See's light element. And it was highly likely that this came from the Holy See's upper echelons. Judging the light demon? After reading the letter, Yao Wanyuan said with confusion, clearly puzzled by the Holy See's actions. He wondered if they were unaware of the anomalies on the Doyun continent, or if they were hinting at something. The light demon is a highly talented angel within the Holy See. She once fell in love with the demon emperor of the monster realm. After some strange experiences, the demon emperor was sealed, and it was mistakenly believed that he had been killed. Enraged and shamed, she fell into the path of darkness, joined the extraterritorial evil clan, and vowed to seek revenge on the Holy See and the Great Thousand Worlds. With the powers of light and the extraterritorial evil clan, the light demon was born. However, recently, reliable news has indicated that she was captured by the Holy See and imprisoned. The Soul Clan leader explained. The Soul Clan almost controlled the most complete intelligence network on the continent, so the others did not ask further. According to reliable sources, the Demon Emperor has broken his seal for quite some time. This time, the Holy See's actions are likely directly aimed at the Demon Emperor. And the Holy See's bold public trial of the Light Demon seems to reveal their true intentions. Gu Abyss's expression grew solemn, his voice filled with concern. Then the question arises, what exactly is the Holy See's aim with this action? Although the Light Demon is incredibly evil, given her ties to the Demon Emperor, the Holy See should not make this a big issue, right? Yao Wanyuan pointed out the issue sharply. According to an ancient book within my Soul Clan, the Holy See is simply the force left behind by the angels to spread their grace and divine power across the Great Thousand Worlds. And when a person's power grows, their ambitions inevitably rise to a whole new level. The Angel Kingdom is the true pinnacle of power in the Great Thousand Worlds. Its location is unknown, but it is said that the upper echelons of the Holy See can undergo a certain ritual to ascend to the Angel Kingdom. As for the specifics of the ritual, that remains unknown. Hun Tianhao said with a serious expression. Are you saying someone plans to use the Light Demon to lure out the Demon Emperor? After a moment, a bold idea unexpectedly formed in Gu Abyss's mind. It's very possible. Hun Tianhao nodded gravely, his expression filled with tension. The Demon Emperor, he's the ruler of the monster realm, a powerful figure who survived the First Heavenly War. Even if the Holy See's Pope is on par with him in strength, their combat ability is still no match. The Demon Emperor's power is profound and unfathomable. How could any newcomer surpass someone who experienced the First Heavenly War? A sense of shock flashed through Gu Abyss's mind. When the ancient 8 clans arrived in this place, their strongest warriors endured great hardships to gain a foothold on the Doyun continent. However, the Xiao clan, focused on the Great Thousand, sent their entire clan out to explore, hoping to carve out an even larger space for themselves. Thus, only the 7 ancient clans remained here. However, through subtle connections, Gu Abyss knew that the Xiao clan's journey not only didn't end in disaster, but through some strange experiences, they had become one of the most powerful and influential races in the Great Thousand Worlds, far surpassing the 7 ancient clans by countless times. More importantly, the Demon Emperor had ties to the Xiao clan. The writer, the Cardinal in Red? Could it be that the Pope doesn't really exist within the Holy See? Yao Wanyuan glanced at the end of the envelope, noticing the words there. How strange, Hun Tianhao muttered in confusion. This matter is too big to ignore. We must report it to the Grand Elder immediately. Let's go. With those words, the 3 of them quickly made their way to the residence of the Grand Elder of the Yao clan. However, the battle ahead would undoubtedly begin at an extremely rapid pace. In the distance, the Holy See's holy city. Kelly, you really have disappointed me. The Pope sat leisurely in the Spirit Steel Hall, watching as Kelly's spirit steel shattered into dust. He showed no sign of sadness. The Holy See has many branches, but aside from the one in the Doyun continent and a few others, the rest are far too weak. Kelly's strength is still too inadequate, and her fall can only be considered bad luck. 10 days, neither long nor short. The branch of the Holy See in the Sacred Origin continent. Teacher, you seem troubled. Is something on your mind? Xun'er followed behind the Devourer of Souls, observing the perplexity and worry on his face through the black robe. The branch of the Holy See here is not to be feared. Even with Miller's involvement, they pose no threat to me. However, the Pope who appeared earlier seemed somewhat ethereal, hard to grasp. I can't tell if his identity is real or fake. From within the black robe of the Devourer of Souls, waves of eerie and overwhelming power surged forth. This power was not something Xiao had ever seen before. It was far beyond the power of the reincarnation force that he had barely tapped into. Never mind, tomorrow we will rescue him, and then you all can return to the Devouring Soul domain. I still need to visit the Dodi continent. The Devourer of Souls smiled, and with that, the area became quiet. Monster Realm. Recently, the Master seems uneasy. I wonder what's going on. Forget it. The Master must have been in seclusion for a long time, with no news coming from him. We shouldn't disturb him. The Beast Kings whispered outside the Monster Origin cave, but no one dared to step inside. 10 days later, on a clear morning, as the sun rose, Xiao had already arrived in the Doyun continent several days ago, but he kept his identity hidden to explore the terrain. Today was the day for the public trial of the Light Demon in the Holy City. After some preparations, Xiao infiltrated the Yao clan's residence. As for Feng Wan'er and the others, without Xiao Zifen's help, they had to travel on foot and were still on their way, riding horses. Xiao, are you a human or a ghost? At this moment, Yao Yichen walked quietly down a narrow path of the Yao clan. Seeing a familiar figure suddenly appear before him, he was shocked and stammered. Take me to meet your clan's elders. Xiao removed his black robe and transformed back into his human form. All right, this way. After a moment, Xiao successfully met with the elders. You really are tough. Gu Abyss saw Xiao, who had returned to life after being on the brink of death, and slapped him on the shoulder with a laugh. But there was no ripple of energy in the air. In less than a month, Xiao had not only recovered from the edge of death, but his strength had improved dramatically. I've come to join you all in going to the Holy See's holy city, Xiao said without hesitation. Let's go then. As the domain master of the Boundless Fire domain, you certainly have the ability. With those words, a group of powerful individuals soared through the air, heading toward the holy city of the Holy Sea. Strange, the leader of the Soul Clan seems a bit odd. As they traveled, Xiao Yan's clan mark emitted a faint sense of disgust. However, with the upcoming battle, he didn't pay much attention to it. The Holy Sea is the group of angels sent by the angel kingdom to the human world. In many ways, the power of the Holy Sea on the Do-D continent surpasses that of countless other forces. They alleviate the suffering of the world, gain the wings of angels, and their cultivation speed is far greater than that of ordinary humans. Their so-called faith will not tolerate any desecration. However, it is precisely because of these traits that the Holy Sea has become the public enemy of countless forces on the Do-D continent. The Holy City of the Holy Sea is located on a mysterious sacred mountain in the Doyun continent. The city is rich in celestial energy and is home to tens of thousands of Holy Sea attendants, all of whom are fervent believers, unwavering in their loyalty. They follow every command of the Holy Sea without question, as if brainwashed. Wow! This is truly impressive. Xiao Yan, along with the leaders of the ancient 7 clans, arrived at the foot of the Holy City Mountain. Looking up at the magnificent structure built into the sacred mountain, a feeling of insignificance arose within him. Atop the holy mountain, a powerful aura of light radiated, making the holy city appear even more brilliant and sacred. All forces are already stationed around the holy city. The Grand Elders are hiding in the void. Everything is proceeding as planned. The leader of the Soul Clan looked at the enormous building in the distance and murmured softly, "Since that's the case, let's go. Let's see what the Holy Sea is really up to." Gu Abyss took a step forward and began walking along the bustling mountain road. "Let's go." The others exchanged glances before following him. The Holy City Mountain's main road was vast, with white wind chimes hanging from the surrounding trees, exuding an air of purity, seemingly placed there by the Holy Sea to suppress ill omens and protect against evil forces. The Holy Sea's monks, the remaining believers, and the newly formed judgment and trial groups have all gathered here. Xiao Yan looked around and saw the Holy Sea guards, all wearing the same uniform, their expressions solemn and serious. They lined up from the foot of the holy mountain to the peak, where the Holy City was located. The scale of it was truly awe-inspiring. It is said that the Holy Mountain is a sacred place bathed in boundless light. The Holy City is built right on the ground. At the top of the Holy City, there is a prosperous city, where those who have contributed to the Holy Sea live. Behind the Holy City, the higher-ups of the Holy Sea reside. There is a solemn and sacred altar in the Holy City. Every public trial of the Holy Sea takes place there. Once judged heretics by the Holy Sea, no one has ever escaped its judgment from ancient times until now. As they spoke, they continued towards the altar in the Holy City. Boom, boom, boom. After walking through the many roads at the foot of the mountain, they finally entered the Holy City. This was a prosperous city, with a wide variety of goods, constantly changing in style. Yet no matter when, it always felt unusually peaceful. No disputes, no fighting. It was like a perfect place that seemed impossible to exist, a place people yearned for. A city without disputes or fighting. The leader of the Ling clan's beautiful eyes sparkled with a trace of longing. This kind of place gave her an inexplicable sense of comfort. This is the unique power of the Holy Sea. The light system is gentle, but these people have probably become complete slaves to it. They can no longer be called human. Gu Abyss shook his head. Is a world without disputes, troubles, or fighting really so good? Humans are creatures with desires and emotions. If these basic behaviors were lost, what would they be but mere walking corpses? In the streets of the Holy City, apart from the original residents, guards in white patrolled rigorously, maintaining a level of discipline that was truly intimidating. That person, is he the so-called Xiao Yan? From a beautiful clock tower in the distance, a noble-looking man appeared. His sharp eyes locked on Xiao Yan's position, ignoring all the noise around him, and his gaze directly fixed on Xiao Yan, with a hint of curiosity as he tried to probe. Whoosh whoosh. Xiao showed no fear. A rare black demonic light flashed in his eyes. He immediately countered, shattering the man's intent. Roar, roar, roar. As their gazes met, a thunderous bell rang, accompanied by a divine aura that emanated from the magnificent clock tower. A golden dragon nurtured by divine aura. Xiao Yan's demonic aura faded, and without looking back, he made his way toward the altar of the holy city. At this moment, his power, whether from demonic energy, thunder, wood, or other forces, had reached an extraordinary level, far surpassing his former self. Thus, the final battle of the Do-D continent slowly began a new chapter. Interesting guy. No wonder he could kill my holy sea's roaming angels and severely injure the first believer, the Son of Light, and others. Blake easily silenced the Golden Dragon's roar from the clock tower and then smiled. The Golden Dragon clock tower was quite powerful, but it wasn't meant for dealing with someone like Xiao Yan. Although Xiao Yan had demonic powers, his mid to late 8-star Do-Xian strength, even after undergoing the Yao clan's tribulation transformation, would still never be a match for Blake, because it was a direct crushing of power. Moreover, Blake's ultimate goal was never Xiao Yan. No matter how strange Xiao Yan became, under Blake's power of reincarnation, he wouldn't stir up any trouble. My lord, everything has been prepared according to your instructions. The judgment of the holy city is about to begin. Down below, the priest Amber stepped forward respectfully and spoke. The positions of the two priests were such that even the cardinal in red had to show them respect. However, facing Blake, they felt an oppressive fear. Yes, I know. Where are Austin and Lu Hao now? Blake nodded and asked again. My lord, they have recovered some of their strength and are now resting in the back mountains. They clearly cannot participate in this trial. Priest Amber responded. In that case, you do as you please. Blake thought for a moment and felt something was off. He then whispered to Amber. After all, as a perfectionist, he would not allow anything minor to disturb his plans. Now, within the vast Holy See, with the Pope and Cardinal Miller absent and Lacey mysteriously missing, it had essentially become his own kingdom where he could do as he pleased. My lord, this cannot be done. Lu Hao is the Son of Light. If you act like this, the heavens will be angered, and you will provoke the gods. Hearing Blake's outrageous thoughts, Amber couldn't help but feel a chill run down her spine. Cold sweat dripped uncontrollably as she couldn't resist advising him. Blake was so ambitious that he even thought of targeting the Son of Light? Lu Hao's chances are already used up. Do as I say, or else. After Blake finished speaking, a cold murderous intent swept through the air, easily dispelling Amber's concerns, and the area returned to its previous calm. Within the Holy See, the other two cardinals in red and the Pope cherished the Son of Light, but Blake was different. From his research in some ancient books, he discovered that the divine markings of the Son of Light seemed to be controllable by anyone with the wings of an angel. In the sky above the holy city, the blazing sun hung high. Endless rays of sunlight poured down, bathing countless figures in a warm, sacred glow, making people's hearts inexplicably calm. What an eerie altar. What exactly is the Holy See doing? Weren't they supposed to be judging the light demon? Where is the light demon? At this moment, at the altar in the holy city, tens of thousands of powerful beings had gathered. Their eyes were filled with an uncommon excitement, all fixed on the female priest at the center of the altar, Yuri. The altar's center was raised high, and a cross several meters in size floated above, shrouded in mystery. On the cross, a streak of pure white light and even a faint white flame flickered, making it awe-inspiring. The Holy See worshipped angels and upheld light as their faith. They could not tolerate any impurity. Anyone tainted by filth had to be imprisoned on the sacred cross, where divine light would erode the body and holy fire would scorch the soul, helping them to atone for their sins. This was the Holy See's judgment, unchanging since ancient times. This was the so-called holy punishment, used to punish heretics. How cruel! Xiao Yan looked at the calm priestess Yuri, whose eyes were closed. Despite the large crowd and the noisy surroundings, she remained unfazed. He snorted coldly as he thought about the Holy Sea's methods of judgment. The people within the Holy Sea are even stranger than the old, stubborn elders of our clans, said the Lei clan leader, shaking his head. Senior, I hope you don't fall into their trap, Xiao said indifferently, sitting among the seats surrounding the altar. He gazed at the cross and the vast blue sky, calmly waiting for the judgment to begin. From the moment Xiao entered the holy mountain and holy city, he had noticed the pervasive presence of sacred wind chimes, the judgment, and other such elements. Within the holy city, there were even holy golden dragons. If the demon emperor were to arrive here, he would undoubtedly face an unprecedented crisis. After all, Xiao knew that if the demon emperor truly came, with his pride, he would certainly not bring any soldiers from the monster realm, but would instead face the Holy Sea alone. But that, in turn, would play right into the Holy Sea's hands. These filthy angels surely wanted to use the demon emperor's life to pave the way for their ascension to the angel kingdom. At this moment, the entire holy city was unusually noisy as various forces gathered, and the powerful figures within the Holy Sea tightened security. Silence. The commotion didn't last long. A high-pitched voice from the priestess rose, and several high-ranking members of the Holy Sea walked toward the altar, where more people gathered around Yuri. Alongside her was a stranger wearing red robes. The Holy Sea had strict hierarchical rules, and the color of one's robes determined their status and strength. Red robes? Only 3 cardinals in red in the entire Holy Sea had the right to wear them. This guy has an incredibly strong energy fluctuation. Just by looking at him, Xiao felt the demonic power within him stir, releasing a faintly burning heat. The one in red robes is Blake, the leader of the 3 cardinals in red. It's said that he stepped into the second reincarnation realm long ago, explained Hun Tianhao, the leader of the Soul Clan. Gulp. The second reincarnation realm? Then when he uses the angel wings, doesn't that mean his strength? Xiao mind was in turmoil, unable to calm down. No, you're wrong. The enhancement from the angel wings only applies to those below the first reincarnation realm. Once you reach the second reincarnation realm, the wings only enhance combat power, not actual strength, because they don't have the blessings of the angel kingdom. As for what happened to Lacey before, it probably has something to do with the power of the Son of Light, said Guabis, who seemed to know little about this matter. Well, let's just watch. Xiao nodded, and the group fell silent, all their attention fixed on the events unfolding at the altar. But Xiao was puzzled. Given how much trouble he had caused for the Holy Sea, why hadn't they come after him first? Or perhaps, if that's the case, this might be too horrifying. Today is the public trial day of our Holy Sea. Welcome, everyone, to the Holy City of the Holy Sea. Here, you will have the honor of witnessing the judgment and verdict of the gods who reign high above. At the same time, you will also witness the perfect scene of evil being completely eradicated under the divine light. Blake took a step forward, his hands clasped in prayer. A peculiar, glowing white mark suddenly fell from his forehead, and in the blink of an eye, it shot through the sky like lightning. Moments later, columns of milky white divine light began to silently descend from the heavens. A total of 10 columns enveloped the entire void outside the holy city, as though under this immense power, even their deepest convictions were beginning to waver. Let it begin. Having completed all these actions, Blake quietly returned to the altar. He turned to the High Priestess Yuri and calmly spoke. He had merely issued a warning. Now that his objective had been achieved, it was time to leave the judgment to the High Priestess. Yes, Your Excellency, Yuri replied with a gentle smile. Her alluring red lips emitted a rare charm, and the black gown she wore exuded an extreme, terrifying aura. Bring the light demon to me. Her sharp, high-pitched command cut through the air, sending a tremor through the bodies of the many powerful figures present. All the powerful beings here were well known in the Doyun continent, but at this moment, they had all reached a silent consensus. The leaders of the ancient races only needed a trigger, a leader to rally behind, and the Holy Sea would be completely challenged. The trial of the light demon was undoubtedly the best catalyst for this. The battle was inevitable. The outcome was merely a matter of time. Buzz buzz. As the high priestess voice echoed, several Holy See judges, clad in milky white helmets, emerged from the depths of the holy city, dragging the light demon from the prison cage beneath the city. Boom, boom, boom. With a resounding sound, a tear appeared in the void outside the altar. Dozens of imposing figures, stern in expression, marched toward the altar, dragging a weak woman covered in wounds. The light demon. Xiao looked at the fragile figure, a wave of sorrow rising within him. The light demon now appeared pale as earth, her once lustrous hair dull and lifeless. Blood-red streaks marred her eyes, nose, and ears, signs of horrific torture. Chains soaked in sacred holy fire bound her body and even her soul, subjecting her to constant, excruciating pain under the divine power's burning influence. She was no different from a prisoner at this point. Heaven Scar. The light demon weakly mumbled, her lips still whispering the name of the demon emperor. She knew she had done many wrongs, but at this moment, her life and death were no longer important. Her only wish was to see the demon emperor once more before she perished. Just one last glance, that was all she desired. Begin the sentence. Without an ounce of mercy, the high priestess shouted. Clang, clang, clang. The judges showed no mercy. Dragging the light demon's barely conscious form, they made their way toward the altar, leaving behind a trail of dark, blood-stained marks that were chilling to behold. The Holy See despised evil and heresy to the extreme. To them, those captured for heresy had no rights, like ants underfoot, to be trampled at will. These beasts. Xiao chest slowly heaved with anger, a raging inferno filling his mind and eyes. From the demon realm, Xiao had learned much about the tangled history of the demon emperor and the light demon Lu Yun. He had promised the demon emperor to deal with this matter, and seeing Lu Yun in such a state now pushed him to the brink of fury. Thud. Even though the woman was helpless, the judges did not hesitate. They bound her completely to the crucifix, the holy chains fusing her body with it. Her arms were spread wide, and divine marks continuously etched into her soul, keeping her conscious in her agony without letting her slip into unconsciousness. Her feet were firmly pressed against the base of the cross, as milky white arcs of light burned away the evil power within her, searing her body from within. At this moment, the light demon's suffering was immense. Her face, twisted with pain, was as pale as death, but she had long since reconciled with life and death. The torment of her flesh was meaningless to her now. The cross rose into the air, and the light demon, in such a wretched state, became an exceptionally conspicuous sight under the gazes of countless powerful beings. Endless radiance fell upon her body, more like a series of scorching irons forcefully searing her skin and soul. The pain and torment were indescribable. Light demon, do you plead guilty? Blake's body squirmed as he rose into the air, hovering before the cross, and questioned the light demon. Plead guilty? What crime have I committed? The light demon barely managed to open her beautiful eyes, staring at Blake with a rare stubbornness. You were once a high-ranking member of the Holy See of Doyun Continent, but you betrayed the Holy See, joining the extraterritorial evil clan and committing deeds that angered both gods and men. With such evil acts, you are nothing but a heretic within my Holy See. Blake's loud voice echoed through the air, ringing in the minds of every powerful being present. Some of the weaker ones even trembled uncontrollably. As for betraying the Holy See, I plead guilty. Everything I know about the extraterritorial evil clan, I have already told you. As for the other charges, do not wrongfully accuse me. The light demon, bound by the divine crucifix, weakly spoke. Utter nonsense. Today, I will perform a divine act of light and extinguish you once and for all. I will declare the might of my Holy See to the world. Blake smiled, and ripples of milky white energy expanded violently in circles, turning into countless sacred halos that enveloped the entire holy city. The holy city was resplendent with gold and jade, as ethereal white birds formed of glowing light flitted around, giving it an utterly divine aura. Holy punishment! The sound of a vast bell rang out, quickly transmitting across the land. Boom, boom, boom. The deafening sound shattered the heavens as countless strands of light fell like rainbow beams, accompanied by the scorching fire of the sun, all prepared to pour down upon the light demon's body. The already battered and torn light demon trembled as the overwhelming sacred aura approached. The last shred of her evil power within her body erupted in an unprecedented wave of fear. At that moment, countless people looked up, their gazes filled with disbelief, staring blankly at the holy and awe-inspiring holy punishment in the sky. The might of the holy punishment was enough to erase reincarnation itself, shaking their souls to the core. Heaven's scar. It seems that we are destined to have no fate together. The light demon whispered softly, her delicate form beginning to dissolve. The power within the holy punishment was beyond anything she could withstand. Her evil power had not been completely purged, and now, with such an extreme divine aura closing in, there was only one outcome for her. Total destruction, both body and soul. Crack! In that moment, as the holy light surged like a flood, attempting to annihilate and purify the light demon's body and soul, a slender figure suddenly stood tall in the sky. Despite the effort it took, the figure still reached out with both hands and tore apart the countless sacred light strands. At this moment, countless people were filled with astonishment, staring blankly at the emaciated shadow in the sky, their hearts unable to calm down.